Hi guys, I hope you are all doing well. I just want to talk about a wee analogy here of trauma and the analogy that I have put alongside the trauma. I'm talking about trauma because I feel guided to do some videos on trauma and how it has an impact on us as spiritual beings having a human existence here on earth. And I want to do a series of videos. I don't want them to be quite long or anything. I just want to keep them short and sweet and straight to the point. But I want to talk about how trauma affects our chakras, our meridians, our energy centers. I want to talk about how trauma is stored in our bodies even long after the trauma is over. I want to talk about different kinds of trauma that are in this here that I'm talking about are the loss of a loved one, could be the loss of a pet, right up to physical, mental, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. I think I said that twice. Um, I want to talk, and it could be anything right down to trauma, can be anything. You could be walking around out there and not know that you have some kind of trauma, but yet you do have certain triggers and stuff. But it could be right down to the fact that maybe you are a child and you're walking around outside and you're with your wee teddy bear. A dog runs up to you and snatches your teddy bear off you and runs away with it, and you're left standing crying because you've lost your teddy bear. And you either don't get the teddy bear back because the dog's fecked off, or you do get the teddy bear back, but it's all shredded. Okay, even that, I kid you not, even that is a trauma. So we all go through trauma, whether it's war veterans or whatever. Okay, and then knock-on effect of that is PTSD. And this is where I want to come in to talk about the effects of trauma, how it's stored in your body. Now, I am not coming from, I am coming from personal experience. I'm coming from a lot of years in therapy. I am coming from, I want to be able to talk about this and bring in my understanding with a spiritual approach to the understanding of trauma. And I want to be able to talk to you I want to be able to talk to you and take you through what I did to help with my trauma and take you through like tips and steps that you can take to start healing your trauma. I feel that healing your trauma or traumas are a vital, important um, thing for us to go through. We do our healing, our traumas are always coming up in us, and if we ignore them, like I did, then it's more destructive behavior. Um, you're missing out on the joy of your own life. And again, I'm talking from personal experience. I'm not talking from a professional experience. I do have my counselling behind me, which is great. But I am not a psychologist. I am talking from personal experience because the best thing to have helped me and still does help me is talk therapy. It's being able to talk to other people who have went through it rather than somebody just speaking from a textbook, you know. If I'm speaking to somebody who knows exactly what, how, when, where I feel and what's going on with me, that is the best form of therapy, and that's why I want to put these videos out. So if you're watching this, that it may come in helpful for you to understand or maybe plant that seed to help you decide, you know what, I'm actually going to face my fear. I'm going to face my traumas head on, and I'm going to do something about it because let me tell you, you do deserve to have a life. You do deserve to smile. You do deserve to be free of panic. You do deserve to be free of anxiety. You do deserve to be free of those racing thoughts in your mind. And part of my background is I had suffered sexual abuse as a child for 4 years. I don't need to go into the details, but that's my background. I then had been a very withdrawn child and stuff, and I blanked a lot of my trauma out until later years. But the way I went with mine was I numbed everything out, and I ended up with addiction, alcohol addiction. And that was my coping mechanism at that time because I could not cope with my emotions. I could not cope with the flashbacks that were coming up. So when I'm talking about this is trauma with everything in it. It's not just about sexual abuse, it's about all kinds and all different shapes and forms of trauma. You do have the ability to heal yourself. It just takes that one step forward to say to yourself today, I'm going to start healing. I want to start I want to have a better life for myself. I don't want to be in this stuckness. I don't want to be continually sad. I don't want to be wishing that I wasn't here. I don't want to be not enjoying life. I want to love and enjoy my life, and I want to there is more to life. Okay, so I want to start off with this video. I did a video on your chakras, basic understanding of your chakras. So I talked about your chakras and their some of their functions, and if your chakras are out of balance, how that affects your physical body. And trauma affects your chakras. If trauma is left unhealed and undealt with, it affects your chakras, and then it can manifest into physical symptoms like IBS is a prime example of one. There is other different physical ailments that can occur with traumas like backache, um, a load of other ones. So trauma is connected with your chakras. If you want to check out the chakra video, it's on Sacred Spirit Within on YouTube. You might find it on my Facebook. I think I'll upload this video on both, because I just want to be able to give out what I had received and what I had learned myself, because knowledge is key. Knowledge is power. Once you have an understanding of what's wrong, what is going on with you, you can then take steps to start healing yourself. If you see smoke here, it's my incense going. And yes, you can. Okay, so the analogy, I want to talk about the analogy then very quickly, is the sea glass. I collect sea glass. I go down to the beach when I'm not feeling good. Even on days I am good, but I go down to the beach. I stick my head in the sand, so to speak, like an ostrich kind of thing. My head's down, and the world is shut out. Anything that's not in front of my eyes is all shut out. In the times that I need my space, in the times that I need self-care, in the times that I am triggered, in the times that things are coming up inside me and I'm not sure what they are, I take myself off to the beach when I can, because it's very cleansing. But I started to collect sea glass a wee while back. So this hand will have sea glass, this hand will have trauma, and I'm going to give you a definite to give you my analogy of how I see trauma to be. Um, Sea glass starts off as a perfectly made piece of glass. Then the glass is displayed. It's loved. It's displayed on your cabinets. It's displayed in shops, and with Coke in it or whatever you is in the glass. It's used for many different reasons and purposes, and it looks pretty, ornaments, glassware, and it's very, very pretty. Then the glass may be discarded. The glass may not become attractive anymore, and the owner decides to discard this piece of glass. And what can happen is then, if it's lucky enough, this piece of glass, it goes into the seawater. Because what happens after that is, through many, many years, this piece of glass is tumbled about in the water. It breaks up, the bottles start to break up, vases start to break up, it starts to break up and it starts to spread, okay? This wee lonely piece of glass starts to break up. And as it goes along through years, like years of being cooked in the seawater, it starts to it gets bashed about rocks, it gets rolled in the sand in the sea, in the bottom of the sea, and it starts to with the seawater, the minerals in the seawater physically changes the composition of the glass. So whatever glass was made of at the beginning, when it is in the seawater, it is cooked, it is changed into something else called sea glass. It physically changes, the chemical properties physically change. And then once the sea glass reaches the beach, it is beautiful. It's not sharp anymore. There's no sharp edges. It's all been rounded. It's been changed. The color may have changed. It may now be a really lovely piece of green, brown, lovely piece of blue, purple, pink, depending on what chemicals have hit it along its journey. So it's been a lifetime of a journey for this sea glass to eventually land on the beach, to eventually maybe somebody picking this piece up and turning it into a piece of jewellery or a nice picture. So that's the sea glass. With trauma, we are born into this world, a beautiful little baby. We have not been tainted in any shape or form. We are pure, we are innocent, we are full of love, light, energy. Um, and as we start to grow up, depending on our circumstances, if we are unlucky enough, we start to learn behaviors of other people, which is learned behavior. We start to receive negativity. We start to hear maybe say arguments or something. We can then be unfortunate enough to experience trauma. And with trauma, once trauma hits us, so we're beautiful, we are these wee lovely wee babies, and then we start to grow up, and then trauma hits us and it shatters us. It shatters our whole perspective. It changes our reality. It changes our brain function, with the amygdala. I think it's our amygdala is actually smaller in people who have experienced trauma than anybody who hasn't experienced trauma. It changes our whole outlook on who we are as a person. We end up with low self-worth. We end up hating ourselves. We can end up with a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, think it's our fault. As like myself, I thought I was going nuts. I thought I was going crazy and something was happening to me. I didn't understand what it was. And the knock-on effect of trauma, any shape of trauma, it doesn't matter what it is, can cause PTSD. And PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. And what happens is with trauma, if it's not dealt with and healed with and talked about, um, you can stuff it down, you can block it out, and you can stuff it down. And what happens is, if an event happens, a traumatic event happens, you can literally block it out where you don't remember it. And that's your brain basically overloaded. It's been overloaded, and it sends the trauma into your muscles and somewhere in your body. So if you suffer from fibromyalgia, this is a very common example of um, trauma, that you have some trauma within your body that needs to be looked at and needs to be brought up to the surface and needs to be healed. Um, so trauma affects our bodies. Trauma is stored within our bodies, and I've received all this information from my professionals and my research. Knowledge is key. Knowledge is power, and when you have the knowledge behind you, you can then heal yourself. You have the power to heal yourself. You are a powerful human being. So trauma then, when it hits us, it shatters us. We go into it's like fragments of our soul is it's shattered, is going different directions. There's maybe a piece that has been rejected, abandoned, unloved. And when that happens, it just shatters your whole belief system as well. It just shatters absolutely everything on a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level. It can have a massive impact. Um, so you're going through all this trauma, just like the glass in the water. It's being tumbled about and it's being knocked about and all this here, and it's different directions and blah blah blah. It's the same with trauma. It just shatters our whole sense of being in different directions. And throughout your life, then your trauma will try and come up to the surface. It's like your higher self is saying this needs to be healed. You're having these flashbacks, you're having triggers, people are maybe triggering you, you're maybe smelling something that triggers you, and it's all your trauma is coming up to the surface to be healed. So this is the time to look at it, especially in this time. This is the time to look at it. And when the trauma has stopped and you're left with the wounds, you're left with the broken heart, you're left with all the memory, the trauma in your muscles and stuff, and it then comes up to be healed, and you then have a decision to say to yourself, just like I did, do I face this and heal it, or do I continue to stuff it down? I personally stuffed it down with addictions, and I am quite open when I talk about it. Um, because I don't believe in staying quiet. I believe in getting it out so that it may help somebody else down the line, just like somebody else had opened up to me, and they helped me through their words. Um, so you make a decision: do I want to heal this or do I want to hide it? I used addictions to hide my trauma that occurred to me in my childhood. I used alcohol and reckless behaviour, self-destructive tendencies, you name it, the heap. I was in that dark place. I used that to block it all out, and then it was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to do something about it, and that's when I looked into counselling, went to my doctor, spoke out about it, took other steps outside of me to face this trauma that I had. And so when you make that decision to heal your traumas, you're ultimately taking the first step. When you make that decision to heal your traumas, you are taking that first step into becoming onto your journey of healing and onto your journey in recovery. And you are left then standing on the beach, just like the beautiful piece of sea glass that's going to be shipped off somewhere to be made into a nice piece of jewellery or a lovely picture, or just to be admired by the owner. It's like you are then standing on that beach when you have faced your traumas, and it's not easy, but you're standing there on that beach and the sun's beating down on you and you feel lighter. You have a sense of purpose in your life. You have a sense of who you are. You no longer hold shame and guilt. Um, your PTSD, with me, my PTSD, I still have it. I still get triggered, uh, but it's more manageable. Um, so the sea glass has went from a piece of glass to a beautiful, beautiful piece of sea glass. You have went from being this beautiful, beautiful child to coming through what you have went through and being knocked about all these years, or through the trauma has just really shattered your being. You come out and you heal yourself, and you come out a new version of you. You come out that person who starts to self-care, starts to love themselves, not in an egotistical way, but just you give yourself respect. You start putting boundaries in with people, because that's the thing with trauma. A lot of people with trauma, do not have poor boundaries. Like myself, I had very poor boundaries, and it was a kick to the teeth when I realised that. You start to want to live your life. You want to face things head on, and you know what? It's such a beautiful place to get to. I'm living proof of it, and I went from someone who didn't want to be here and in the complete darkness to someone who's in the light and sharing her way analogy of the sea glass and trauma. Um, and and the thing is that you can do it too. You do deserve to have a life. You do deserve to have love. You do deserve respect for yourself and respect from other people. You do deserve the most beautiful life that you want to create for yourself. And just like the sea glass, beautiful piece of work. If you've ever seen a piece of sea glass, it really is, they really are amazing, you know. So guys, yeah, I just wanted to come on and give you my analogy of the sea glass, and I hope it's made a wee bit of sense for you. Um, and just know that if you are watching this, you don't have to be in that place. You don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to let your trauma rule your life. It's very much in your power. You have the power to change it. You will not erase the past. You will not erase what happened. But what you will do is you will have a new perspective, a new understanding. Just moving that. You will have a new perspective, a new understanding of what you went through in your life, for things that have happened to you and the losses that you've had in your life. You will come through with a new understanding. It's like looking at life from a different lens, and you will feel better. As I say, you'll never forget. You'll never forget. But what will happen is that you will lose the emotional charge that your trauma had over you. You will lose that emotional charge. You'll remember it, but you'll be like, isn't that interesting? And you'll be able to move your thoughts on to something else rather than the trauma coming into your head and you thinking about it, and then before you know it, you're in that freeze state or the fight or flight of PTSD. You'll be able to shift your perspective. Um, yeah. So that's the second video, should I say, of my trauma work that I want to do. And it's coming from a spiritual perspective. It's coming from a very personal place in my heart that I want to share with you guys. Okay, so have a lovely, lovely day or night or morning whenever you're watching this, and I look forward to making the next video. Thank you.